If you fall 7 times and rise 8 times, you have the spirit of Israel Adesanya. He will face a guy who has beaten him twice in kickboxing, but the UFC middleweight champion is looking forward to their third encounter in the octagon. Alex Pereira, his opponent, has just 3 UFC bouts under his belt. Stay tuned as we examine the favorite candidate's chances of winning. To begin with, when did Israel start training in martial arts? Israel Adesanya began his path in combat sports later than other fighters, who normally begin training as youngsters. When he was 18, he began training in kickboxing. Adesanya was inspired to learn martial arts after seeing the Thai film Ong Bak, which is based on the sport of Muay Thai. In a self-written blog on Athlete's Voice, he reminisced his origins in the combat sports scene. "I recall witnessing the movie Ong Bak as a youngster, starring Tony Jaa," he wrote. "He was doing all this insane stuff, and I was like, fuck, that's fantastic. I aspire to be a warrior. I began Muay Thai training and had my first bout 6 weeks later. Crazy. It was 2008, and I was still an adolescent. It didn't take long for me to realize that I was different from the other warriors. Fight number 4. That's when I realized. I embraced the fact that I am not like everyone else. You have the potential to be the best at this. Nothing has changed now that I'm a UFC fighter. I have the potential to be the greatest of all time." After being undefeated in 32 kickboxing matches, Adesanya began training at City Kickboxing with Eugene Behrman, where he still trains to this day. The Last Stylebender practices at the New Zealand-based gym with other UFC fighters Kai Kara France, Dan Hooker, and Alexander Volkanovski. With an overall MMA record of 21 wins and 1 defeat, Israel Adesanya is the current UFC middleweight champion. He has a kickboxing record of 75 wins and 5 defeats. Moving on, why does Israel Adesanya want to fight Alex Pereira at UFC 281? In kickboxing, Adesanya, 23-1 MMA, 12-1 UFC, had a decision and a knockout defeat against Pereira, 6-1 MMA, 3-0 UFC. It's one of the main reasons why many people were thrilled to see Pereira join the UFC. After just 3 unbeaten UFC outings, Pereira's third encounter will now take place on November 12th, beneath the bright lights of New York's famous Madison Square Garden. But why did Adesanya want to confront him just now? "I've always chosen the person no one wants to fight," Adesanya stated on ESPN's Sports Center. "I sprint towards the person everyone else runs away from. So absolutely, I sprint into the flames, and today is no exception. After he defeated me in Brazil, I had no intentions to seek vengeance or anything of the kind. Since I don't hang on to things, I let them go. But once again, the universe has provided me, and it's right there. I'm going to crush that bitch with the ultimate alley-oop." Everyone in the top 5 of the USA Today Sports/MMA Junkie middleweight rankings has been beaten by Adesanya, leaving number 6 as the next guy in line for his opportunity. With 5 title defenses, 6 if you ask him, under his belt, Adesanya will meet a highly adept attacker prepared to fight on the feet. That is a crucial ingredient he feels has been lacking in previous opponents, and he believes it will generate excitement among spectators. Third on our list, one of Israel's biggest fights, Kelvin Gastelum. Israel Adesanya last fought Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 236 in April of 2019. The Last Stylebender defeated Gastelum by unanimous decision, with the judges scoring the bout 48-46, 48-46, and 48-46 in his favor. The battle took place in Atlanta, Georgia's State Farm Arena. The main event was a lightweight championship battle between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. The interim middleweight championship was on the line when Adesanya and Gastelum battled inside the octagon. The New Zealander won the championship and a rematch with then middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Gastelum pressured Adesanya to start the game, but the New Zealander scored first with a strong kick to the midsection. The key moment in the opening round came when the southpaw struck Adesanya in the head and knocked him into the cage. Adesanya was rocked with a head kick in the second stanza of their battle, followed by a series of takedown attempts from Gastelum. Adesanya demonstrated his grappling prowess in the final round, trapping Gastelum in a deep guillotine and a head and arm triangle choke. Although Gastelum avoided the submission attempts, the Kiwi floored him twice in the closing minute. The UFC 236 interim title battle offered everything an MMA fan could expect in a fight. From momentum changes to an extraordinarily high number of blows, the battle left spectators at the State Farm Arena wanting more. Next up, Israel's first loss in the MMA. At UFC 259, Adesanya failed in his ambition to become a dual champion, losing a unanimous decision against then light heavyweight champion Blachowicz. It was his first defeat of his career. Despite agreeing with the judge's judgment, Adesanya, 21-8 MMA, 10-1 UFC, believes he had the most important moments. "How did I get harmed in that fight?" Adesanya said in an interview with ESPN. "I mean, he defeated you, certainly. I know some people disagree, but I believe he only beat me. But where in that struggle did I genuinely get hurt? In the battle, I never felt threatened. He was in danger because I rocked him. He even confessed it, and he felt my power. But where in that conflict was it genuinely hurt? I never once felt threatened." Adesanya's remark was in response to Robert Whittaker's assertion that Blachowicz plotted his defeat. The Last Stylebender does not believe Whittaker, 23-5 MMA, 14-3 UFC, would be able to follow a similar game plan when the two rematch in Saturday's UFC 271 main event. "If that's what Whittaker, wants to do to win the fight, let him try," Adesanya stated. "If he's 225 pounds, but try, and he's never felt the grappling, everyone who has seen me wrestle knows I have that strength. But once they experience it, it's different because of the context. They look at me and say, 'Oh, skinny guy, no power,' but they found out." In other news, viral star Hasbulla introduces Conor McGregor the Chicken. Hasbulla Magomedov is a social media sensation from Makhachkala, Dagestan. The 19-year-old, who has a kind of dwarfism that makes him seem much younger, has become very famous online in recent years, amassing millions of followers on his Instagram and TikTok accounts. Hasbulla is well known in combat sports circles for his relationship with fellow countryman Khabib Nurmagomedov. Hasbulla has spent a significant amount of time with the former UFC lightweight champion, giving him the moniker Mini Khabib. Hasbulla has even threatened to enter the ring personally. He and his Tajik colleague Abduzrazik are now feuding, with a possible money-grabbing fight on the horizon. That dispute erupted in the stands at UFC 267 last year. Hasbulla recently showed his trolling skills by posting a video addressed at declared Nurmagomedov foe Conor McGregor. Hasbulla is seen in the film showing off one of his hens, called Conor McGregor. All eyes are on Conor now to see how he reacts to this dig. However, don't expect the UFC champion to be too excited about this. McGregor has been quite silent on social media recently. That may be because we're on the verge of seeing him return to the octagon. In conclusion, Adesanya last fight. In Las Vegas, Boom competed against Israel Adesanya on the last horn and decision reading, but the opinions of the spectators did not have any bearing on the result. In the main event of UFC 276, which took place at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Adesanya prevailed over Jared Cannonier, 15-6 MMA, 8-6 UFC, by way of a unanimous decision. The first two rounds set the stage for the rest of the match. Adesanya maintained his composure, much like he had done in his last fight against Yoel Romero at UFC 248, which took place in Las Vegas. Cannonier made an effort to launch the attack, but was unable to come up with an assault of his own. In the meanwhile, Adesanya was successful in accomplishing his smaller goals. In the second round of the fight, an eye poke that wasn't deliberate caused the referee to call a timeout to investigate the eye. Cannonier grinned as he wiped his eye with a wet towel before continuing. Adesanya gave his opponent the middle finger at the conclusion of the round in response to a love tap to the midsection delivered by Cannonier after the horn sounded. From round 3 through round 5, Cannonier had increasing levels of success. The judges, on the other hand, didn't think it was enough. The barrier was successfully controlled by Cannonier, despite the fact that no damage was taken. In the fourth round, Cannonier went all out and landed some strong punches, but Adesanya was able to come back and win the round. When the final bell sounded, there was an uproar from the audience. That's all for today, guys. Hope you have enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more more related videos.